Greetings and salutations, folks, and welcome once again, as always, to another helping of Mr H's Hot Pot. Join me today, making my way along a country lane in a little place called Heskin, which is in the Chorley borough of Lancashire. And I'm making my way towards a public footpath today, Hot Potters, that should take us to some old mining ruins that was recommended to me by one of my viewers, a fella by the name of Fraser Webb. Hello to you, sir. And he mentioned the other day that there's some nice mining ruins and there's some ruins of the old narrow gauge railway that used to run around collieries dating from the late 19th, early 20th century. So I'm really looking forward to going and taking a look at these ruins. Now, I could have probably parked closer to the public footpath that I'm making my way towards. However, I like to extend the bimble somewhat, as you always find other little hidden gems when you're walking along country lanes like this. And I don't want to be parking my car on a very narrow road. I'll just whip the camera around and show you how narrow this road is. I don't really want to be doing that because you can end up getting sideswiped and causing an obstruction on the King's Highway, which I don't want to be doing. So I'm just using Shank's pony. Made a bit of a faux pas. I got myself a nice can of Pepsi Max cherry. Josh Lunt, if you're watching this, I know you're partial to a can of Pepsi Max cherry. And I've left it on the car roof back at the car park. Hopefully it'll still be there when I get there. Somebody's not seen it and thought bonus. Anyway, I'm now approaching where this public footpath leads into the fields. So I'm just going to quickly whip the camera around and show you this charming little church that is just on my left here, a red brick Methodist church. And then we'll pick this video up on the public footpath that I'm making my way towards. And with the hum of an aeroplane going overhead, it doesn't get much English than that, does it? This is Heskin Methodist Church, which I'm just passing by. Rather quaint little building, built in 1905, I think that is, on that stone there above that arch window. I don't want to linger too long on this because, as you can see, there's some toys there and it is being used as a nursery, but just shows you the quaint little things that you find in the back country roads of the villages of England. Anyway, I'm now going to continue my bimble up this road and make my way to that public footpath. Okay, Hot Potters, welcome back. I'm now making my way along the public footpath that leads off from Stocks Lane and leads down to these mining ruins. And this public footpath meanders along the side of Sid Brook. I'll put a period map screenshot in for you now and you'll be able to see the area that I'm currently walking in. Now, of course, back in 1914, this whole area would have looked a hell of a lot different than it does today. Today, it's just basically woodland. I'll whip the camera around and show you. And it does have to be said that this public footpath is very easily missed when you're making your way down Stocks Lane. I'll put a photo in for you now, and you'll be able to see just how easy it is to walk past, and you wouldn't know that it's there if you hadn't done your homework beforehand. Luckily for me, I had, so I know exactly where I'm going. And I've never been around this area before, Hot Potter, so as you're seeing it through the camera lens, so am I. There's a number of footbridges that we'll need to make our way over. I think we need to jump back and forth across Sid Brook to make our way to these old mining ruins. I'm just making my way over this footbridge now. I once had a job way back when creosoting these type of bridges. It was in the Wigan area, but they were the same sort of bridges. You had to get down into the streams. You would pour a waders on and creosote them with old style creosote back in the day, not this newfangled stuff where they've took all the tar out of it or whatever they've done. It's harmful to the environment. Not the best of jobs, Hot Potters, but somebody's got to do it, I suppose. Just make my way carefully over this bridge because it's a bit slippy. And we don't want an outtake, do we? For our Christmas video. It's going to be a boring video at this stage, isn't it, that one? And with that footbridge safely negotiated, if I make my way along this footpath here and start moving away from Sidbrook, I should be heading towards what was once the number 1 shaft to Pemberton House Colliery. And I'm now following the original pathway of the tramway that would have been in this area to take coal that had been produced in the mines. Can't see any evidence of that yet, but hopefully we should be able to come across it, as I'm not doubting what you've told me in the comments, Fraser Webb. Now, the colliery that we're going to be taking a look at dates from the Victorian period, and it closed, I believe, around 1928. It's called Pemberton House Colliery. All this area around here is very synonymous with the name Pemberton. Whether or not somebody called Pemberton used to own this land or was very important around here at that point in time, who knows. The pit was owned by James Barker Company, and it was also nicknamed Barker's Pit for obvious reasons. Now, apparently this colliery was one of the last in the UK to continue with the rather quaint tradition of bringing coal up from the coal face in baskets rather than metal tubs. By the time this colliery ceased production, they'd all probably moved over to metal tubs, as they'd last longer and they were probably safer. And I'm glad I've come on this bimble this time of year and not waited until summer, because no doubt it'd all be overgrown. Now, over in that direction, apparently there used to be a big house that was hidden just back from the road, and that's where the Latvian consulate used to live between 2005 and 2007, and the Latvian government paid to have what had once been Pemberton House Farm renovated into a lovely home for the Latvian consulate. You wouldn't think it in a place like this that he'd be there, would you? Or she. I don't know if it was male or female. But here is the old shaft, number 1 to Pemberton House Colliery. I'll just whip the camera around now for you. And here it is, hot potters. I've no idea the depth of this shaft, but as always, judging from the thickness of the capping, you can just see at the end there, I should imagine it's rather substantial. I won't want to fall in it, put it that way. That gives you some idea of the thickness of the slab that they've placed on top of it. It may be even deeper, it may go below ground. Now, it doesn't appear to have the usual NCB triangular pillar, so who knows who capped this? Whether or not it was capped just before nationalisation in 1947 or not, who knows? I have seen this style of capping before in one of my other videos. Anyway, let's make our way back to the footpath and continue with our bimble and head towards what would have been the ventilation shaft to this pit. We'll see if we can find that, and then on to the number 2 shafts. So we'll make our way out of this wooded area and back onto the path. So yeah, that was number 1 shaft to this colliery. Whether or not when they was doing the workings further down they used that for ventilation or an escape shaft, who knows. Still haven't managed to see any of the relics of the old tramway, which I should imagine will be 15-inch gauge if we do manage to find them. Maybe they're a little bit further up. And just going back to that story about the Latvian consulate, you can hear that construction work has started. I think they, after a long legal battle, managed to get planning permission, because this is greenbelt land that I'm currently walking on, to build houses on that former site. And that's what you can hear there. Unfortunately, I missed out. I've only found out about the remains of that house, because apparently it was a lovely place to go around and have a bimble and take a look at. We've missed out on that one. But if you fancy wondering what it used to look like, just look it up on one of these urban exploration sites, 28 days later or something like that. There you go, guys. I'll give you a free plug in one of my videos. Right, I'm now making my way along this public footpath once again, and as I said, as yet I can't see any remains, Fraser Webb, of those lands that you was talking about. Unfortunately, we didn't really discuss where they actually was located. But I appreciate all tips that people give me. You know, like the one that Lee earlier gave me regarding that air raid shelter a few videos back. I'll always come and check them out. I don't just not bother, unless of course you're from the other end of the country, and then it'd always be a case of if I was in your part of the world, really, whether or not I visited that particular thing that you've recommended. And you can really hear heavy construction work going on over there. I've no idea how many houses they're going to build on that former property, but no doubt they'll be at a premium price. Yep, just got down over that little river there. And we'll continue once again. Just got to get up this little bit of a steep brew, as we say in this part of the world. And it being raining yesterday, it's a bit slippy underfoot. So I've got to watch my balance. I'm almost sure somewhere around this area there should be the ventilation shaft to this colliery. No idea if that's been filled over or not. We're literally winging it on this one, Hot Potters. We really are. And oh, there we go. That's how this one opens. It's a little confused there, Hot Potters. I'll just step back. Came up against this and I'm like, what's this all about? But yeah, it's not been fenced off. We can make our way through. I won't be making a video on how to the correct way to close off a public right of way or anything like that. Not today anyway. Right then, once again, I think I'll get my bearings and pick this video up from there. Well, sadly, Hot Potters, it would appear that this is where the trail of Pemberton House Colliery peters out. According to the maps and a little bit of research I've done, the remains of it should be under this field here, which I'll show you now. Back there is the gate that I've just come through. And unfortunately, it would appear that any remains of number 2 pit have been re-landscaped and it's now farmland. I'm still on the public footpath. I'm going to make my way to Mill Lane, I think it's called, and then double back on myself. Pity really, sometimes that's the way it goes. I've unfortunately for Fraser Webb not been able to see any remains of that old tramway. On my way back, if I do manage to find any, I will put them in this video, but other than number 1 shaft, that's the only remains I've managed to find, which, as I say, is a real pity. I'm now making my way towards the roadway here, which is where I believe Park Hall Camelot used to stand way back in the day, and that is where me and Mrs H got spliced at Park Hall many moons ago now, back in 2010. Doesn't seem like yesterday. Right then, I'm going to make my way to this gate, negotiate the stile and head back down. Going to be a bit dodgy this little bit of the video, Hot Potters, simply because I'll have to make my way through a farm, and I never like doing that because you don't know what's roaming around, do you? Dog wise, geese wise, and I always think geese are worse than bloody dogs personally. They make better guards, put it that way. Right then, I'm going to climb over this fence, get on the road and sort of loop back on myself. So, once again, join me when I manage to find something of interest. I'm now at that farm, Hot Potters, and there is a little public footpath down there, but it would be very easily missed if you didn't know where it was. I'll just show you. If you didn't spot that, you wouldn't know that you can go through this gate here. And hopefully we won't be bothered. Try and get through this yard as quickly as we can. Through there. A bit like Steptoe's yard, this. And not very friendly, to be honest. Hot Potters, this. Yeah, there's another public footpath further up there, and I would advise the people, if they do come around here, to head in that direction. Saves having little voices saying, "Hi, you are being recorded." And so are you. You'll be immortalised on Mr H's video. Anyway, I'm going to make my way back whence I came now, Hot Potters. Pretty disappointing, this one, I must be honest, because I was hoping that there would be more here, but that's just the way it goes sometimes. We've had a nice bimble and I've stretched the old legaroonies, and that's what it's all about. You can't win them all, Hot Potters. Hopefully we will manage to find the remains of the tramway as I head back. I'm now gasping for that can of pop that I've left on the car roof. I hope it's still there when we get back. We shall find out, Hot Potters, because that's where I'll wrap this video up from. So I'm going to make my way back to the old jalopy now, and unless I find anything of any interest, any further relics, I'll leave it until I get to the old jalopy and wrap this one up. So let's see how this one pans out, shall we? Well, Hot Potters, I'm now back at that capped mine shaft that we took a look at earlier. Number 1 pit here at Pemberton House Colliery. And unfortunately, Fraser Webb, I've been unable to find any remains of that little tramway. The only evidence that I can find is an embankment which it would have probably ran along, or part of it would have ran along, and I'll whip the camera around and I'll show you that now. And just past that electric pole there is where that cap shaft is, and the bit of embankment is just running along here, and you can see it makes its way through those trees there and onto the footbridge that I crossed over earlier. And that, unfortunately, is the only little bit of evidence that I can find of a tramway. There have been a few pieces of timber in these woods that could possibly be sleepers, but they could have been placed here by farmers also, who have been trying to fence the land off. And once again, another pan back towards the bridge. So that's it, Hot Potters. That was all that remains of Pemberton House Colliery. Not much really to say that once this colliery boasted almost 100 men working underground back in the Victorian period, which was a considerable number back then. Right then, we're going to make our way across that footbridge, get back to the old jalopy and wrap this one up, I think. Well, Hot Potters, it does look like we can end this particular video on a bit of an high, because I've found probably what is the best relic from the old Pemberton House Colliery, and it lies in Sid Brook, just beneath this bridge. I've managed to scramble down into the river, and we'll take a look at this relic now. And here it is, Hot Potters. Now, at first glance, it doesn't look much, and it just appears to be a concrete pipe diverting water down the brook there. But if we take a closer look at it, you can see old style rivets on it there. And my guess, and I could be wrong on this, but my guess is that that is one of the old boilers from the colliery. These to have Lancashire boilers in them, and I think that that is the body of one of those boilers. The plates and the rivets definitely look from that time period. I'll try and get over this bit without going bum over pap and see if we can take an even closer look at this. What we need to do is get underneath that bridge, which is perched rather precariously on the banking there. Right, I'm going to stretch over and see if I can get closer to it. Definitely, in my opinion, this is Victorian. Now, I've no idea why it's ended up in here. It doesn't appear to be altering the course of the brook in any way. Maybe during salvage it fell in here and they just couldn't be bothered removing it. It has rotted away in places though. Yeah, is this the body of an old Lancashire boiler? Please leave your comments below. We'll now get to the other side and I'll give you a view of it, looking down it, so to speak. I can't wade into the river because unfortunately I've only got wellies on. And this is a view of the end of that metal tube, which has been formed from metal plates, which is why I think it's been a boiler body and it's not just a pipe that has been placed here to help navigate this stream underneath the bridge. And I would say that that's the best relic of this former colliery, that and the cap shaft. Anyway, Hot Potters, I'm going to continue my way, make my way back to Stocks Lane and head for the old jalopy, where hopefully that can of pop will be awaiting me. Okay folks, well that'll just about do it as we're now back where I parked up the old jalopy. I hope you've enjoyed today's video, taking a look at the remains of the former Pemberton House Colliery here in the Heskin area of Chorley, Lancashire. Luckily, we managed to end the video on a bit of a flourish, didn't we, with finding what we suspect is one of the old boilers from the former colliery. But the burning question on each and everybody's lips, and certainly on my parched lips, is that can of pop still on the roof of the old jalopy, Mr. H? Well, I'll whip the camera around now and we'll take a look, shall we? Drum roll, please. And indeed it is. Get in. I'm going to enjoy that one later. Until the next time, bye-bye for now.